Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, Papito's World. Today we got a few guys from the posse on. We got Ray. What's up, Ray? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me, and thank you all to Chuck and Alex that are here too to be here at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we got a late night podcast today, which is kind of what we're going to be talking about. Everybody here is a parent, or one of us is a soon to be parent. So we're just going to try to scare him a little bit and give him some bad advice.
I'm
Also
a, I'm
joining
a,
us. Go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
already scared. I'm already scared, Chris.
Yeah, I don't blame
I
you,
don't.
bro. Also joining us on the posse tonight is Alex. What's up, Alex? How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Chris? I'm excited to be back. It's always fun to do these podcasts with you, and this is going to be a good one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Excited to have you guys back on. Also, Alex. Before we go, man. Before we move on, tell everybody what you do, man. You anybody looking for commercial insurance, property insurance, life insurance. Put yourself out there, man. Anybody in Miami,
Yeah,
particularly. Go ahead, man. What do you do?
yeah. And I own my own insurance agency, and pretty much I worked with a lot of different carriers. The difference between me and a State Farm is that like for example, State Farm can only write a State Farm policy, whereas me, I can write with many different carriers, and I always try to find the best rate for my clients. So I do mostly business insurance, but I also do home and life insurance. So if anybody's interested, you can go ahead and give me a call. My phone number is 305 363 2170.
It's gonna cost you $20. All right, man. No, but check him out, man.
Then
He's a good guy, good people. He's gonna help me with life insurance soon. So I'll let you know after we meet if it's good or not. But for right now, just give him a call for now. Also on the posse, we got last but not least, father to be. We got Chuck. How you doing tonight, Chuck?
What's going on, guys? So I didn't have to put a kid to sleep because I don't have a kid yet, but I did have to put a wife to sleep. So it took a lot of sacrifice to get on here tonight. But yeah, just want to let you guys know that I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded and ready to learn a lot tonight about fatherhood and what to expect. So
Yeah, we're gonna try
best
our
shot.
best to teach you, give you our perspective, and do what we can. Also, Chuck, let the people know what you do, man. Anybody in Miami looking to buy their first property or buy a property for investment purposes, let them know what you do, man. What's your handle
Yeah,
as
so
well?
I'm in the real estate industry and all the buying and selling and leasing needs that you guys have in the Miami area and really anywhere we can do referrals from anywhere. Feel free to contact me, Charles Leon 305-712-0388. I'll do my best to help you guys out, get you the best price, and get you the American dream. That's what we all want, you know.
Let them know what's your Instagram handle in case they want to follow you.
Charles Leon, Leon, Realtor. So it's all together. That's my Instagram handle.
And right now, man, with as fucked up as everything is, it might be a good time to buy. So give them a call, man. Check them out. Like I said, good people. We only put good people on here, so just trying to help each other out little by little. They help me out, so might as well throw them a bone their way as well. So
Appreciate that.
no problem, man. Thanks a lot again, guys. I know it's late, but we're doing this. We're gonna do this now, and basically, like I said, we're gonna talk about fatherhood, perspective as a from a dad's point of view. Ray, we'll start with you tonight since you're the expert here. You got two kids. You got a son who's what 4 or 5
five,
years,
five,
5, and then you have a daughter who's probably a
11
couple
months
months
old.
younger than my boy.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, man. When with your first kid, what were you feeling when you found out your wife was pregnant? Like, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, it is happening. I mean, first of all, I was happy for sure, excited. Like I was like, my heart was pumping really hard. But on the other side, I was like, man, it is happening. It's kind of unbelievable that you you did something to create a new life, and that is not magic. We know that it's not, but it feels like it. It feels like wow, like, it is happening for me now. And then we were happy. It was our first, and for me and my wife. And again, we were excited and scared. That moment is like a combination of a lot of emotions. A lot of them are good. I don't think that you can say that you have any bad emotion, but it's a combination of like being nervous, like expect the unexpected. You don't have experience. Chuck is expecting right now, and he's kind of trying to figure it out. I hope that he's trying to. And there is no book. There is no book.
There's no manual.
There is no movie. There is no documentary. There's nothing out there unless you talk to your parents or grandma, grandparents. In this case, you can talk to your friends too. But it was a happy moment. It was a really happy moment for
Yeah,
me and
for
my wife.
sure. Yeah, and also Chuck, I know Chuck personally. Like I said, we're all buddies here. Anybody that comes on this podcast is buddies of ours. We're a tight group. So Chuck also has family members that have kids. So he's got a lot of support around him. So that's definitely going to help him. And he's got us, to try to help him out as well. Alex, what about you, buddy? When you guys found out that you guys were expecting, what was your reaction? What was your thought? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I remember we were in Canada and we were on a trip up there. And my wife, she was always had this idea of trying to surprise me, like with maybe giving me a gift, and then like telling me like, oh, it's a baby or something like that. And I remember she woke up like in the middle of the night and she just went to the bathroom and she just came running out of the bathroom crying. And I was scared. I was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. She was just so scared and worried. So my first reaction wasn't like so much of excitement. It was more like a shock. And
Yeah.
I was there to just comfort her and hug her. And I'm like, everything's gonna be okay. Because her first reactions was like, I guess like a little bit of panic and worry and just scared. So I was just trying to comfort her and like I felt like inside like it was gonna right there. I felt like a whole new chapter of my life was gonna start. Like so, in a way, I did feel like some sort of like excitement, but it was more internally. Um, but yeah, man, it definitely changed my life completely ever since I had my little baby. So
Yeah, it's
it's a
definitely a
great, it's a big
blessing.
experience. Yeah, it's a
Absolutely, man.
blessing.
Absolutely blessing. Chuck, when you found out your wife was pregnant, what initially went through your mind? What did you guys think? What did you guys talk about? What was your first thought?
Uh, it was excitement. I believe we were both ready. We've been in a relationship, long term. So, I don't want to say it was planned because, you really can't plan something like that. That's nature and it's something that happens organically. But, I felt like we were both ready. Excitement, we were both super excited. Little bit of shock, a little bit of anxiety, like Alex pointed out, because you really don't know exactly what you're getting into and until you're into it, kind of deal. But no, definitely super excited, super happy, and now it's time to find your way. Now I hadn't words of wisdom. I'm not a father yet, but words of wisdom that a friend told me, and it's true. He's like, once you have a kid and once you have a family, you kind of find a way to put food on the table and to provide. Like it just kind of happens, like it's not something that you really have to, stress too much about. Like stuff just works out for you to be able to provide for that human being that you're bringing into the world. So, and that was pretty cool that he told me that. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. A lot of people, I guess you figure it out, as you go along the way. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's definitely. I'll give you a little bit of when me and my wife found out. If anybody listened to my first podcast, I was by myself. Kind of got a little bit deep there, a little bit personal. Um, we are trying for a while, and we've had 2 miscarriages along the way. So when we initially found out she was pregnant, always I was excited. It was a great feeling, but always had that in the back of my mind. That is this one gonna stick? Is this one gonna stick? And it ended up working out fine. But like I said, it was excitement. But in my case personally, it was a little bit worry. We had a little bit of worry. We were concerned. But kind of touching what you said, Chuck. um, yeah, you're happy, of course. It's a it's a blessing, it's something you want. But then once that high, comes down, you start thinking, shit, I gotta support the kid now. Like I'm on the same salary. How is this gonna happen? Of course, now you're gonna start worrying. You're gonna start thinking about all the things that come with it. Alex, what was your thoughts when reality set in? Like once, okay, she's pregnant. Okay, now how the hell are we gonna plan to have this kid? How are we gonna support this kid? Like, what was your initial plan? What was your initial thoughts?
Man, it was like you know how you set up when a hurricane's coming and you prepare. That's kind of like how we prepared. It was pretty much buy everything, set up the room. I used to have a gym slash office in the room where my baby was, the crib before we had the crib. We threw everything out. We sold everything. We got everything converted to baby proof everything. So it was like preparing like just like the same way like people were prepared for like a hurricane. Well, that's kind of like at the same pace. So it was but yeah, definitely the financials were a big time because me and my wife worked together in the insurance agency. So the whole time I was thinking, damn, what happens now that she's gonna get like, she's gonna be out for 3 months.
Yeah.
Am I gonna be by myself? And believe it or not, I wasn't like I mostly sold life and home insurance. I was more selling personal lines, and she was the one that was selling the big the business of business insurance. So I had to kind of like catch up and learn everything, like to kind of get up to her level. So as soon as she left, I was able to hire. Actually, was able to hire a part-time employee. But then I had, I had to now pay another employee.
Yeah.
So it was a big it was it was a big financial thing. And but I think everything
You
worked out. Like Chuck said that
You
if
found a
you
way.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure it out.
you
Let's get something straight now because I'm sure your wife is gonna listen to this, Alex. She's your boss, right?
Yeah, I mean we're both. I mean, yeah, we're both partners, but yeah.
Yeah, but she's the one. Ultimately, she's the one that signs your check, right? What are you gonna
There's
say,
always
Chuck?
a 51% owner.
Yeah.
she's not working she's not working there anymore, but she's still on the payroll. Just want
Yeah.
to say
No,
No,
she's
she's
actually
totally on the payroll.
she does the accounting. Yeah, she does the more the back end, the accounting and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm like pretty much the ones on the phones and training the employee and everything like that. So
Ray, what
yeah, man,
about you, man?
it's we're able to do it.
Yeah, of course. What about you, Ray? When reality set in and you had to figure out the finances
It
of
was
a child,
it was it was
what was
hard
your
for
thought?
me because I was kind of recently came to this country. It was like a year and a half that I came here. I didn't know English. Not that I know now, but at least I can communicate effectively. I didn't know English at all. We moved to Colorado, different weather, different cultural. English it was really bad for me. Like I couldn't understand most of the stuff that people say around me.
Yeah, you had a
Like for
big
real.
culture shock. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, it was a big jump for me because I was working in this kind of store. It's like rent to own business. And I needed something better. So I jumped into the education area of my life now, the one that I have right now. Just not by force, but as Chuck mentioned and you guys have mentioned before, there is something that clicks and changes and switch in you that you can control. Most people, I believe, that are waiting in their life to be part of something bigger than them. A kid provide you that instantly. Like now, you are in charge and you are responsible of that life. And if you're a good man, a good husband, a good father, which I believe you guys are, and will keep being, you have to do arrangements in your life. You have to change. You have to become whatever it takes to provide. And for me, that's what I did. I have to change careers. I have to go for it, and it took me places, and not pleasant places, by the way. Economically, it was a hassle. It was a real hassle with both of us, my wife and I. And that was only before the baby came. It's just that, like Alex mentioned, the preparation to that point, it was hard. After that, that's a different topic that probably we're gonna cover today. Just getting there, it is a hassle. And again, I'm not gonna give you the story of my life because nobody knows want to know that. But again, tight apartment. Actually, it was a studio. Basically, open the door, you have the couch and the bed right there. We were not ready, at least like material wise and space wise. We were not ready to have a baby. But it doesn't matter. That does not matter. Everything that you have own and could have an own, if you put it in one point and you focus your life and your efforts on that spot, then that spot is your son or daughter that is coming. And you figured it out. You have to.
I mean, you ended up figuring it out. Well, look at you now.
Yeah, yeah. We
And
did.
you decided, hey, I figured this out pretty good. Let me have another one.
Yeah, that's a stretch. But yes.
Yeah, man. Like, everybody in this room right now, we're all good dudes. We're all good fathers. We're all good husbands. I can vouch for each and every one of these guys here. Um, we find a way to make it work. It's just a natural instinct for somebody who wants to be involved in the child's life, for somebody who wants to be a father, somebody who wants to be a husband. um, you're gonna find a way to make it work, because, like these guys just said, ultimately you have responsibility of another person, a child, and obviously your spouse, and your life is gonna change completely, man. I'm sure you know that already, Chuck. I'm sure a bunch of people have told you your life is gonna change completely. Things you used to do before, say goodbye to those things. You know, um, it's gonna be a shock for you. Not saying you're not gonna be able to do things anymore, because you are, but it's gonna be, you know different. Um, you're gonna have a kid screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning because they're hungry. You're gonna have it's gonna be good days. It's gonna be bad days. It's every day is different, and we'll get there. We'll get to to the daily life of a parent, of a father. Alex, when the day comes, finally, you guys have the room ready, you guys have the baby shower or whatever. The big day comes. You're in the hospital. Wife's about to give birth. What's going through your mind?
Man, one of the things that I always was scared of is not getting to the hospital on time. So I had like the hospital, like the map of where to go, like through the emergency or straight to the place where I had where she had to do the labor. I didn't know, so I had to like prepare beforehand, and I actually did a tour to the hospital
Yeah,
with my wife,
smart
just to
man.
walk. Yeah, just to walk and see, okay, this is where I can drop her off, because that was my only worry. I didn't want the baby to be coming out like in the middle of the traffic, in
Yeah,
Miami.
of course.
So that was one of the things. You know, the first thing, we actually, you know, she had contractions, and I took her to the hospital one time, and it was like a false contraction, because it didn't get to the, I guess, the level that it needed to
Yeah,
in order for birth. So they told her, oh, just go home and then come back. We waited, like, I think, another week. So then she had the contractions again. And then when we went, I was thinking the whole time, oh, is this false or is this the real thing? And then the doctor was like, oh, she can't leave. She's staying here. We're gonna have the baby here. I don't know what happened to me, but I got into like into this mode of like trying to find results. Like I was just like, we were working. It was like a working day. I think it was like a Friday or a Thursday. No, it was a Thursday, but then she had to stay overnight, so it was a Friday when the baby was born. So it was like I had to go to work that day because she was there overnight, and I had to call her mom to go over. And then her mom texted me. She's like, "Hey, the baby's gonna be born soon." So I left my office. Like I,
yeah.
I probably had like 100 missed calls, but I left straight over there. And I remember being there in the bed, and she was gonna, give natural birth. And the doctor told me, "Hey, just so you know, once we start, you can't leave the room, and if you faint, like you're gonna fall on the floor. So if you're like a weak guy, you gotta go." And I was like, "No, I'm staying here. I'm not gonna miss this."
Hell yeah.
So it was a very like, uplifting, I guess, process, because the whole time I was just trying to motivate her while she was pushing, and I was telling her, hey, you can't give up, because I saw the baby's head. Man, as soon as I saw a baby's head, it was like incredible. Like I saw the
Something
hair
hits, right?
and
Something
everything like that
hits.
coming
Yeah.
out. Yeah, and I was just telling her, hey, you can do this. Come on, you can push. It took maybe like 30 minutes for the baby to just come out completely. And as soon as that baby like came out and it just started crying, I swear I couldn't control it, but I just started bawling,
Yeah.
like crying,
Something hits, man.
like crazy. I just wanted to hold her,
Yeah.
my baby. And it was a very incredible experience. Like, it
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Your wife's a trooper, man. She gave birth like it felt like 10 minutes, man. Like she's a
Yeah.
trooper, man. Um, on a personal note, my wife was in labor for 32 hours. Um, and after 32 hours, the doctor comes in and says, it ain't gonna be natural, mama. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to cut you open. That's a different story. Um, Chuck, what do you think you're gonna feel that day? Do you oh let me ask you this too. It's still kind of early, but will you guys be doing like Alex said, he did a visit at the hospital. They have little courses here and there that I recommend as well. Like they're stupid, they might seem stupid, but they're common sense stuff that you're like, oh wow. That they actually teach you good stuff. And
I
also,
think, yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
and also will you have you guys spoken about having a suitcase ready? That's very important.
I think, especially going through all this, since you're blindfolded, you really don't know what to expect. I think the more prepared you can be, any little step you can take to be prepared, I think you do it. I think any little classes, I don't want to say silly, it's not the right choice of words, but maybe as easy as it is to overlook maybe a simple class, I think it's important maybe to go as a couple and
Yep.
experience that class together. Something simple as preparing the suitcase a week before or 2 weeks before and having that ready to go. Hey, you don't know, like Alex said, you don't want to be late. You might need that extra, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it would have taken to have prepped
Yep.
everything together. So, you just have to be ready, especially you don't know what to expect. There's a famous book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. We really don't know what to expect. As many books and whatever title they put on books and on movies and whatnot, you really don't know what to expect. So anytime you can save and any knowledge you can gain, and that's my purpose here for tonight, to gain some wisdom from you guys that have been through the ringer and been through this joyous moment. Definitely you got to take it and you got to run with it, because there's no book, like Ray said, there's no movie, there's no documentary, there's nothing written that can you know
Get
tell
you
you what's going
prepared.
to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in our case. I remember the day that um we ended up going to the hospital. We pretty much, it was like we were out all day. I don't remember what we were doing. I think we were buying baby clothes or stuff. And I was like, hey, let's go out to eat at a restaurant. So we go out to eat, and I kind of jokingly said to her, hey, this could be our last date, you know. She was still like a week from her due date. We ended up getting home. Her feet got super swollen. Was having a big headache. Took her blood pressure. Her blood pressure was skyrocket. I go, look, let's do this. Lay down, relax, put your feet up. You know, you'll be all right. She took like an hour nap. I came to check on her. Her blood pressure was through the roof still. So I was like, why don't you talk to your doctor? Let her ask her what she suggests. Doctor says, get to the hospital right away. Dude, we had her suitcase was packed maybe like a month in advance. Everything was in place. Everything was organized. When the doctor said to go to the hospital, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was running around the apartment. I couldn't find my shoes. I couldn't find my keys. I couldn't find the suitcase. And like, mind you, everything was in place, you know? It's because there's so much emotion, man. Like when it's time to go, Chuck, there's so much emotion going on. Like you just can't focus. So I think we can all agree is like make sure you have everything ready before, because if you have to pack, before you go, it's dude, don't do it because you're not gonna be able to do it. Just make sure you have everything pre done and preset, so you just grab and go. That's just a little advice that I would give you personally, because even though we had everything ready, we still, like I said, we had no idea what we were doing. It was
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah, and I guess as much as, us as men were panicking and we're, nervous, I can't imagine what's going through a woman,
Yeah, yeah, we gotta
head.
act like everything's good, but we're freaking
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
just as much as they are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ray, what about you? Remember the that
Oh
day,
yeah,
the big
yeah. It
day?
was -5. I do remember that. It was snowing. It was snowing a lot. Again, it was -5. I am not used to that kind of cold.
Shit.
And yes, we had like a backpack ready. It was around 12 a.m. Like she broke water. And what I did was like we moved to an apartment complex that was like 5 minutes walk from the hospital, like
Wow.
behind the actual hospital. So we kind of that's close. That's as close as you can get to the hospital. But it was smooth in a sense. I mean, I wasn't going through it. In my mind, that's what I considered smooth because she didn't get caught on anything. It was just natural. She didn't get induced, no medicine, no nothing. Just push, push, push out, which in a sense is good for her. Now, in the middle of the whole thing, which is kind of a funny note, my wife was like pushing, screaming. Everybody was kind of going like nuts. I didn't know what's going on, guys. I only knew that I was holding my wife's hand. She bit me so hard on my thumb that I thought that she was gonna take a piece of it. Like I was ready. I was like, they're gonna call me a macho for sure. And in the middle of that storm, the head pops, and then the nurse said, "You want to touch the head? Get the hell out of my face. Get him out." What do you mean? Do you want to touch the head? She's screaming. She's in pain. The baby is halfway. And you want me to touch the head? Just get him out. Get him out. I didn't say nothing. It just, I think that she read it on my face. Because she was like, push, 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 push. Like, what? No. And my support was like, okay, here you go. Get my thumb. Bite it. That's fine. I can handle that. I don't know. It was crazy. And then he's out. He's out and crying. And for that couple of, it could be minutes, but let's say minutes, I was holding my breath. Because you want to hear the crying.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you know what that means.
Of course.
You do know that when they cry, it's fine.
Yeah.
And you go like, and they hand it over to the mom. And in between, which is not a long distance, like a couple meters, he went off to cry. And I was like, I could breathe at that point. I was like, ah! And then I remember my pain in my thumb and all that stuff. And everything came back. Everything came back. But in that moment, it's like time pause. It's a pause sometimes. And then you see your wife, the relief on your wife's face. Like she's not in pain anymore. And she's happy. She looks like crap, let me tell you. Every single wife after that, they look bad. But you can tell
Don't say that, bro. She's gonna listen to this. She looked beautiful.
She's beautiful, that's for sure. But they looked that day, you know what I mean. But anyways, and you know what else? I didn't have the crib ready. In Cuban culture, it's like a bad luck to have it ready before the baby is born. So at that point, I was running home to assemble the crib. And it was snowing, and it was cold, and then it was, it's a crib. You put a couple, wood together. It's like, it took me 4 hours by myself.
I think we could agree, Alex and Ray. When that moment was happening, everything was going a million miles an hour, right? Like it's like everything was going so fast. You're like, wait. I need to know. It's fast. So that's another thing, Chuck. The day that happens, either if she's going to be natural or if it's going to be a C-section, everything goes by so fast. But once you see your baby's head, or once you see the baby, or like these guys say, once you hear the baby cry, it's like a piano's off your chest, man. Everything is a beautiful moment.
You know something I'm sorry to cut you guys off. I just want to say something important that I remember that I don't think a lot of people talk about, especially that Chuck is going to be a new parent. On that day when your baby's born, make sure you prep your family members to give you the private space for your wife, because a lot of family members, like especially mother-in-laws or mothers or fathers, they're gonna want to like get in the room while she's giving birth, and sometimes your wife does not feel like like she wants the privacy. Maybe she just
Of course.
decides to have maybe her husband and her mother or something. But like, let's say if like if Chuck's mother or at least that's what happened to me. I'm saying it because my mom was we got in a huge fight that day when my baby was born, because she wanted to be in the room, and then my wife was like, no, you gotta make sure she's outside. And
I
it
mean,
was
yeah,
very
it's
tough.
it's her
It was a
privacy.
very
She
tough
doesn't want to show
yeah.
her. I got you, bro. I get that.
But in that
Well,
day is a very, like, the emotions are very heightened for everyone.
The
So
So
emotions
yeah,
are everywhere,
that's
man.
I guess,
Tensions are high.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just,
yeah,
yeah, attention. So
yeah.
I'm saying, like, you got to prep your family members to give you that private space, for that, for that environment for your baby to be born.
one
so
of the
that,
advice that I have, I don't know if Chris and Alex went through it. It's like I like to be prepared for every scenario as better as I can, because in that time that everything is going on or prior to going on, if for whatever reason you have to take decisions, you need to be prepared of what are the offers that the doctors and nurses are giving you and what to say or not. Because you're the husband. Uh, Again, this is not a nice topic, and I understand, but if we're gonna give the real deal, it's true. You need to be prepared to take decisions. I'm not gonna mention any because I don't want to put any thoughts on Chuck's mind or
No, but
anybody
yeah,
else
definitely there
listening to
might be
this.
something that turns
You
bad, and
need
you
to
have to make
read,
the
or
tough
when I
decision.
say
Yeah.
read, get informed through your OBGYN. Every time that you go to that appointment with your wife, ask questions. Read about what are your pregnancy. Now, yeah, should look for that amount of weeks, what to expect, what not to expect, how's everything looking. Get questions asked and answer so you are prepared. And when the moment comes, you need to be prepared. Like, luckily, nothing happens, and I wish you the best, but you need to be ready because at that time, nobody's going to ask the mom. Nobody's going to ask the mom. They're going to turn
so
to you, Charles, what do you want to do?
Yeah, and
so
also
you,
they give you the baby first. You're the first one
True.
who holds the baby. Like that's how critical this is. Like, once they give you the baby and all that stuff, then you take it to your wife, and you know what I mean. But like, it's like he says, like, God forbid there's a bad situation. You have to make a decision on the spot. You have to
you
be mentally prepared for that. You have to be on your A game, basically. Go ahead, man. I know you have a few questions. Go ahead.
yeah, an honest question. Do you get granted power of attorney in that situation in case of a complication? Like, is that something
Yeah,
that happens on one of those papers?
you're the husband. If any
You're the
God forbid
husband.
something happens to your wife, you're the ultimately the
You're
decision maker and everything.
legally, at that time, the one in charge, unless you sign something saying differently. Because the wife and you sign papers. Basically, most of the papers she signed. And it's like when you go to surgery, they emergency contact and all the stuff. But in one of those papers says a bunch of stuff that nobody wants to be involved in, and like nothing like that happens ever, hopefully. But it says who's the person responsible to take a decision is something in an event of something like this
Yep.
happen. That name probably is going to be you.
Yep.
Most likely it's going to be you. And if you do not understand everything that it says there, you're not prepared. Again, you're not a doctor. Probably you're not qualified in a sense to make that decision like a doctor would do. But again, the responsibility to take a decision falls on you or the person that your wife puts in there. That's the general aspect. Like, somebody has to be reading down there. Probably it's going to be you. You need to know what it is, what it means this or that, what it means this choice against this
Yeah, but
choice.
I think
And most importantly, you need to know how to ask the right questions to get to a better decision. But
I think
don't get
a lot of
scared
that
because
is
you'll be fine.
a lot of that is just talking with your wife before
Yes.
before this happened in certain scenarios. But honestly, Chuck, I don't overthink it. I mean, that's not the. I mean, you don't. I mean, you want to just kind of like talk about it with your wife, but you don't want to be like too stressed
Obsessed.
about
Yeah.
that. You
No,
know?
no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Don't be obsessed about that.
No, that's fine. No,
It's
no.
just a
Don't get
reality, you
obsessed,
know.
but
It
just
could
keep it in
happen, or there
mind.
could be something there, but you know, it's chances are, you know, everything goes well. She's healthy. You know, she checks herself when she has to go check herself. Everything's gonna be fine. But like Ray says, there is a little, um, this shit people don't like to talk about. But you know, like anything, like when
No,
you're
but I
going through
think
procedure, hey, you know, if you die or if something happens, who's gonna make the decision for you? Stuff like that, you know. But
Nothing pretty. It
ultimately,
is
everything will
nothing
be
pretty.
okay. Yeah.
It is
when we
nothing
when
pretty
we
to talk about it.
when we talk about any topic, I mean, I think it's important to talk about, the beautiful part of the topic and talk about, worst case scenario,
Of course.
and we
Right.
got to keep it real on this and say how we really, what everything entails, in this certain topic.
Well, I'll give you a personal something that happened to us. Well, you guys probably know because we talked about it. Um, baby was born, everything was fine. He came in after he's born, or your baby's born. You go into an recovery room with your wife. You're gonna be there. She's gonna be on all sorts of drugs. She's gonna be all messed up. But it's gonna be you, her, and then the baby in a little crib. And that's just like 45 minute for her, for everything to kind of settle in, you know, to have your moment with your wife and your child, like a little time there for you guys. And you can also bring somebody in, like one person at a time. It's not like a room for everybody. After there, you go transfer to the room, the actual room that your wife's going to be in with the baby. My personal experience with that was when we're transferring, before the wife goes into her room, and then they take the baby to like a little observation, like a quick exam, make sure everything is fine. In our case, everything wasn't fine, so they had to take him to the little nursery there. Oh, we're gonna monitor him. He's got some, he's breathing a little bit funny, stuff like that. So we were there waiting. My wife, obviously she can't be there because she just had a major surgery. It was a C-section. So I told her, hey, they're gonna put him to the nursery. I'm gonna be there with him. Don't worry. I'm out the door. If you need something, give me a call. So I'm there watching my son, watching while they do everything to him. All of a sudden, maybe 45 minutes later, the doctor comes to talk to me. He goes, we're gonna need to take him to the NICU. And I go, what? I go, what the hell's a NICU? You know, what is that? So he goes, basically explain to me, he's having difficulty breathing. He has low sugar, and there possibly might be some other complications. So he came to tell me this, and then I have to deliver this news to my wife. So that's kind of like what Ray was saying. Like, you're like the man there, you know what I mean? You're the one that is going to take everything, and then you have to make a decision there, or you're eventually going to have to deliver the news to your wife. And when I found out what a NICU was, when they told me my son was having issues breathing, when they told me that um, his sugar level was low and all that stuff, like, it broke my heart. It destroyed me. And when it finally, long story short, I told my wife, they ended up taking the baby to the NICU. And it's tough because you're going to have to make a decision there. Hopefully you don't have to go through this, but okay, am I going to be with my newborn child, or am I going to be with my wife? Because she can't be in there with you because she's recovering. You know, she's still in the process of recovering. So my decision was, her parents are there. They're going to stay with her in the room. I'm going to be with the baby, you know. And I don't want to get into too many details. This could be a conversation for another day, but you know, stuff like that. I was really saying, you have to prepare yourself for worst case scenario. Hopefully you don't have to go through that. Hopefully it's going to be a smooth transition, but there are cases that he might have to spend some time in the NICU or something like that. But just prepare yourself just in case. It's kind of what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely everything, in this situation, there's a lot of little things that can, go right. Hopefully they go right, or there's a couple things that, could not go so right. And you definitely have to make a decision as the man. I did want to, a point that you mentioned earlier, um, about providing and whatnot. I think, everyone says that the day you get married, you become a man, because you have to provide or whatnot. And I think it's true, but at the end of the day, your wife, could provide for herself. She can get a job or whatnot. But once you have a kid or once you have a baby, they're helpless. They can't provide for themselves. So I think this is more shocking than, you know, getting married. This honestly turns you into a man because now you have to provide for this human being because
Mm.
they can't provide for themselves. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like, you know, getting married, your wife goes and has a job or finds a job and, you know, she can, you know, survive on her own, so per se. But this little kid, you know, this little baby, this little human being can't do that. So this definitely turns you into a man more than anything I think in life at any stage in your life. So
Absolutely. And I think, and when people ask me, or when they ask me at the moment, hey, well, what'd you think? What were your feelings when you saw your child? It's something I think Alex and Ray can touch on this. It's something you can't explain, man. Like, I remember when I saw my kid's head for the first time, something came inside me and said, like, it changed me instantly, man. I'm telling you, like, it's like, hey, like, that's my child. Like, I'm a man now, like you were saying, and this is my responsibility. It's And Alex said he was overcome with emotion. I was overcome with a lot of emotion as well. It's just something. It's the most beautiful feeling you're ever gonna experience when you're able to see your child for the first time, and something clicks, something hits. Ray, Alex, why don't you touch on that? Like, what was the first thing that when you saw your kid? Like, right, there's something that happens to you as a man that's you can't explain.
Well, first, you cannot explain it, but you try. And what I felt was like, it's not that you feel responsible, it's that you feel protected. Like Chuck mentioned, like it's uh, helpless because it's a baby, it's a newborn, and yes, you're responsible. You brought it, you made it with your wife, and yeah, legally you're responsible. Naturally, you should be responsible. But we know that it's people that not. They don't do their job. We do it for sure, but it is protective. It's something that clicks that you go. I have to protect this human being at any cost. I don't care what it's gonna cost. There's nothing in this world that's gonna affect this little human at all. And you feel like that's it. I don't care what's going around me. Like at least I consider myself a little overprotective. Um, I always at that moment I was next to my boy. I don't care what you're doing to it. I don't know. I don't know what's asking the question. What is that? What are you doing right now? What in that moment? I again, my English was not very good. I was lucky enough that one of the nurses that knew Spanish, and she was like giving it to me. And I was like, "What is that? What is that for? Why are you doing that?" And I don't know. I became like that person in a second, like this. It clicked, done. You have to protect it, and until this day, I'm doing it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. And I don't care what people think. If I'm overprotective or not, I don't care. I signed up for it, and I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about
So
you,
yeah,
Alex?
after my emotions like pretty much settled, my thing was I was just trying to analyze her, counting her toes, counting her fingers, making sure like her nose is not crooked, or little asking questions to the doctor. Oh, why is she orange? Things like
Yeah.
that. Always making sure she can latch on. Like that was incredible. She was able to latch on and drink milk from her mom's breast like instantly. So, and then also my wife was your wife, I don't know, but my wife wasn't producing enough milk in the beginning. So that was
Yeah.
something that we have to supplement with formula that first night. So there's a lot of like learning, and it's crazy because it's that little child who's been in the belly, he's never been outside you know the, the world, and it's all of a sudden you start seeing these instincts that come out of that little child, that little baby, like how do they latch on, how do they know when they're hungry and they scream, just those things, and you start just analyzing, checking up on her, making sure everything is good and there's nothing like wrong, because that's like I like with Chris, like I was even gonna ask you a question, like did the doctors tell you when your wife was pregnant, like if that was a possibility, or did the doctors tell you, oh, your baby's completely healthy, or like something like that? What did they tell you when your wife was pregnant?
Everything was normal. Ray and Alex, your wife gave birth naturally, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, one of the things that they
Both
explained
times.
to me,
2 times.
when a baby is born as a C-section, because obviously they're in a placenta. I don't want to get too technical, but they're in the placenta. There's liquid in there, so they're breathing that liquid. So that liquid is inside their lungs, inside their body, recirculating. When a baby's born naturally, they go through the birth canal, and that birth canal is very tight, very narrow. So while the woman is pushing, the baby is going through that birth canal, and while he's going through there, she's going through there, that pressure releases any liquid that they have inside the body, makes them like spit it out. In my wife's case, our case, since it was C-section, the baby doesn't go through that. So any liquid or anything that he swallowed, it's still in his system. Um, they try to take it out as much as they can, and normally they're able to take out all the liquids. But in our case, they didn't take out all the liquids, so his breathing was a little bit off. He was breathing a little bit less than what he needed to breathe, and and that also ultimately affected his sugar level, which it was down. And he also had jaundice, jaundice is something very common. It's light therapy. They literally put a light on the baby for like a certain amount of time to get their skin the light that it needs so that jaundice could go down. So to answer your question, Alex, everything was normal. It's just the fact that
Wow.
he came out a C-section that um, this is why he had those complications.
Yeah.
Chuck, something to remember. Have a car seat ready that day, or you're not taking your baby home.
Yep.
That's a good
Word
one.
of
I
advice,
didn't think of
Chuck.
that.
No, it is illegally. It's illegal to
Yeah,
do it. Nobody's gonna give you your baby if you don't have a car seat on the car. The nurse will gonna go with you on the wheelchair with your wife and the
they're gonna
baby,
check the car
and they're
seat
gonna open the door and they're gonna check if you have a car seat.
if it no, and if it's installed correctly as well.
Yeah. Now,
If you
if
have
you
any
don't have
doubts
one
with
and you
that, you
cannot pay
can.
for one, they will provide you one and all that stuff. They want to help you with it.
Yeah.
But you have to have one the day that you leave the hospital. You're not leaving the hospital.
If you're not 100% certain how to put the car seat, because they could be a little bit tricky. The newer ones are really easy, but if you have any doubt, you can always go to any fire station, and they will install it for you, or you
Yep.
install it and then say, hey, listen, this is how you do it. They'll make sure it's 100% right. So like what Ray said, when you do go home with your child, there's not going to be a problem with the car seat, because
No.
they will not let you leave until
Yep.
you have a car seat
Literally, you're
and
not
it's
leaving the
installed
hospital.
correctly.
They will
The
take the time to get into your car, check how well installed it is. They're gonna move it around. They're gonna check that it's tight,
Yep.
and they're gonna go ahead.
But they
Just
didn't
drive.
ask me, They didn't ask me in the hospital when I left. They didn't ask me, oh, do you have a car seat?
You
Nobody
went to a bad
followed me.
hospital, Alex.
I went to Baptist. What are you talking about? That's a
All right,
really good
Leo.
Me
hospital,
too. I
man.
got asked.
I
No,
mean,
I didn't get asked. It was just like, oh,
normally they
here's your
do,
baby, and then
man.
that's it.
Normally they do, but obviously it's common sense. You're not gonna carry a
No, yeah.
baby in the car, without a car seat. You know what I mean?
Alex,
Yep.
they fired that person.
Yeah,
They
that
just
not
fired
person
if
that.
not
is
if they
no
Who was
hear
longer
that
this, they're
with
gonna
them.
person?
fire that person. What was that nurse's name, Alex?
No.
What nurses you got? You got the security guy escorting you. What happened there, Alex?
Was it Baptist South or Baptist Kendall?
I went to
I don't want to
Kendall.
get. I don't want to get nobody in trouble, but
I went to
yeah.
Kendall. It was awesome. So yeah, if it's a good promotion, it's fine to say it.
Just
Another thing I
obviously
wanted
be
to
brave,
say,
man. Go ahead, Alex.
yeah, another thing I want to say to Chuck is make sure you tell your family. I know it's common sense, but you'll be surprised how many family members will go see your baby and they're sick.
Oh
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
be
bro.
surprised. You got to ask your family members, hey, if you're
Stay the
sick,
hell away from
please
that kid
don't
if they're
come.
sick,
Yeah, stay home. You'll be
and make sure
surprised,
there's
man.
no kids going to see your kid in the hospital, because all the germs and all that shit, you don't want none of that,
They're going to
And they're
school,
gonna understand, bro.
daycare.
Trust me, they're gonna understand, because a lot of them are really like your sister-in-law has kids. She's not gonna take her kids. They know, bro, because they had the kids. But yeah,
Yeah.
and Alex, a good point that you made earlier. when you said you were observing your child, this is, Chuck, honestly, this is something that it's great advice. Make sure you see your child. You look for any little marks, a birthmark, a fingers, anything, because God forbid they swap your child. You say, hey, that's not my child. You know what I mean? That shit happens.
Well,
That shit happens.
I mean, I'm not a father, but I went when my niece was born. I went to the hospital. I was there the day she was born, and I remember how they tagged the babies
Yeah.
when they put him back there.
That's like a new thing they're doing, yeah.
And I was like, wow. And the doors have an alarm system in case someone walks out with a baby. The alarm.
The whole hospital goes on lockdown.
I was like, damn, this shit is crazy. Like, this is
because people try to steal kids too, bro. Like,
legit.
believe it or not,
it's the real
people
deal.
try
You
to steal
get the
kids.
mom get attacked, the baby get attacked,
and the dad gets
father
attacked.
get attacked, everybody gets attacked. The
Well,
creep
most
gets
now,
attacked.
no, now in the Baptist, like in the Baptist candle, the baby stays with you in the room. They don't even do everything right there in the room.
Everything's in the
Doesn't
room.
matter. You still have
Yeah,
a
as
tag
long
on
as
it.
it's like, yeah, I think it's as long as the baby's healthy and everything's fine.
Yeah,
then
if they take
they
it
leave
to the
everything.
nursery, it's because it's having some complications or something, or there's something that they can't do in the room. But yeah, everything is typically done in the room, even at birth. Even if your daughter, I'm sorry, if your wife is giving birth naturally, in the same room they have like a little setup there that everything's done there, so you can physically see your child, in
Yeah,
every step of the way.
that's what I meant when I mentioned that I was there, because they put like a cream on their eyes and they
Yeah,
suck every amniotic fluid, lung, nose, mouth, all that stuff. They put it on the. I want to know here, because the second time it didn't happen to me, but the first one they have like a
I
really
like.
hot lamp.
Yeah, to warm them up. Yeah, because they got to get their
It's
body
hot.
temperature up.
It
Yeah,
is hot. You
they
put your
keep them there
hand
for
and
a
you
few
can feel it
minutes or
like
something like that.
there.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Well,
isn't that too hot? And I was like, no, that's fine. Don't worry. I was like, I don't know
make sure,
about that. It feels hot to my hand.
make sure you have the baby's name and everything, and know how to spell your baby's name.
Yeah,
That's
documentation,
a
your
big deal.
paperwork, all that stuff. Your ID, what do you want to name him, last name, middle name, all that stuff.
Also, another thing that a lot of
If
people
they
don't
give you
talk
the
about
choice, apply for Social Security and
right away. Yeah,
Do they give you the
birth
social right?
certificate right there.
they gave it to you like a
They
couple of days after. But yeah,
Yeah, they give it to you later, but they offer you the application right there. And
yeah,
there's people who say, no, we don't have time now, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you do it there.
yeah. You should get
Clear.
the information as far as everything before you leave, and then you'll get the actual paper in the mail like a
Yeah,
couple weeks after. Another thing
you
that a
have
lot
to
of people
apply.
don't talk about is insurance. In the state of Florida, I don't know if this is everywhere else in the United States. I would assume in the state of Florida, you have a 30-day leeway. If you don't have insurance for your child, you have 30 days leeway of coverage of, I don't even know what insurance it is, but they're not going to deny seeing your child, God forbid something happens. So you have from the day your child's born, 30 days to give your child insurance or provide
But
insurance to your
hold
child.
on, there's something else because I'm struggling with that right now. Your child is covered by the mom's insurance for the first 30 days under that insurance by law. Now, after that, you have the choice of include your child in your mom in the mother's insurance or get an individual one for him or her
Mhm.
apart.
That's what
But
it
the
is. Yeah.
first 30 days is covered under the mom's insurance. So keep that in mind, just in case somebody wants to screw you.
And also
Yeah.
make sure your OBGYN is in your network, and also the hospital that the OBGYN tells you to go with is in your network and the insurance, because that could cause issues later with the bill.
No,
Another,
my wife
another
did the
thing.
research, and Kendall Hospital is the one that has the most C-section in the whole area. I don't know how he found out. Don't ask me. I didn't do that research.
And you want to go to a hospital, obviously, that has, for example, like I said, my child needed to go to a NICU. So thankfully, the hospital that which she gave birth at had a NICU. So there are cases that um, they'll have to take the baby, transport the baby to the nearest hospital with the NICU, and then the mom and dad stay behind. That's happened, and that's horrible. Like you don't see your kid, you're not with your kid. That's a bad situation. Um, Another thing that's important that I would recommend to you, Chuck, is whatever hospital you're doing it, see if there's a pre-application for your wife. You can fill that out. Basically, put her information, name, social, the doctor, OBGY, and all that stuff. So once you get to the hospital, that's already in the system. So you don't have to sit there and do, it's boom, you walk in and, all right, we found you, whatever, fulano de tal, boom. Yeah, we're good. That's a little trick that saves time. And bro, you're not going to want to sit there and sign all this paperwork when, the shit's going down. So that's another little advice that I would give to you.
I got a question for you three fathers. So what was one thing you guys were not prepared for? What was the one thing in this whole process of, your wife giving birth that you guys were not ready for that caught you guys a little off guard?
Alex, go ahead. Go first.
My thing is, I think I mentioned the whole thing with making sure prep your family, because like I got in an argument with my mom trying to like get her out of the room when giving us our privacy for the baby, because she got very like emotional. And then the other thing was that took me off guard is it's kind of like I had this imagination that I was going to bring all my family. Like I have a big Cuban family. So I was like thinking in my head, my whole family's going to come today to the hospital and see the baby. And my wife is like, no, I want to rest the whole week and then have your family come over. So that was another thing. I guess is more like, I guess, preference and privacy things that kind of like took me off guard, that I had to kind of like adjust, because at the end of the day, it's not really about you. I mean, you're the father, but you have to make your wife comfortable, because that day is your wife and the baby. So you always got to just make sure that they're okay through the whole process and they're comfortable through the whole process. So you got to respect like your wife's decisions if she wants privacy and things like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, but it could turn really bad with tensions with the family. I know exactly what you mean, bro. Very well. Want to answer
In my
Chuck's
case,
question?
I was living in Denver, so I didn't have any family, just my mother-in-law, and she's awesome. But other than that, I didn't have anybody, just her. But you know what? I cannot think in anything that it caught me off guard. Not because I'm perfect, just because it was 5 years ago. But I do remember something. The second one, I didn't even flinch. I was like, yeah, there you go. Let's go. Woo. Here, there, bam, 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 done. Get the hell out of here. We got a new baby at home. But be aware of this, because it did happen to me, and I was I don't some notes for this podcast today, and I want to mention it. Like, be prepared to not forget that you have a baby at home. Not because I forgot and something happened because of it. It's just like you go to a place, in this case, a hospital, with your wife and whoever is coming with you, but let's say just the wife. You get into a room and you get out with a new human being. You have lived, I don't know, I believe you're 31, Chuck, 31 years. And out of those, I don't know, 12, 15, whatever it is, with your wife and nobody else. And now you have another person. And it's not that you forget to a point that you go to a movie theater and you forgot your baby at home. It's just that you're doing stuff and you go like, oh, the baby hasn't eaten, or la leche, or some. Again, it's not that I forgot, but I caught myself sometimes saying, oh my God, I have a baby. I do have a baby. And you basically what I'm trying to say is that you're gonna have not suffer, but some changes are gonna happen to your life in a lot of sense. And that day that you get out of the hospital with the baby and the nurse is checking the car seat and all that stuff, I was driving through the snow, by the way, scared of the snow, not to be slippery or anything. And I was like, I cannot believe that I'm taking a newborn home. It's a new life, it's a new baby, and he's gonna be living with me, not forever, but until a point. And I was like, man, this is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Jesus. And then I wake up next morning and I was like, yeah, he's there in the crib. There he is. He's still there. He's still there. It is. It is. It's shocking. It is shocking in a good
Yes.
way. It is shocking in a good way.
Chris, I want you to answer that question, and then I got another follow-up question after
Yeah.
that.
Well, first, what I would say is if you have a birth plan, throw that shit out the window because that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? You can try to be as prepared as you can. You could try to have want things done the way you want, but it's not perfect. It's not gonna be perfect. Um, to me, we obviously thought that everything was gonna be as perfect as we could have expected. My biggest shock and my biggest thing that caught me with my pants down was when they told me he had to stay in a week in NICU. You know, that was bad for us. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to take it home in a couple of days. So that week was rough for us. And the hospital allows you to 2 to 3 days, I think, for C-section to stay there. And then after that, it's like, all right, you leave. You have to leave the hospital. Um, or some hospitals offer like it's called storking in that you can rent a room in the hospital and you could sleep there and obviously go see your child in the NICU. So that's what we did. We got lucky enough to get a room for a couple of days in the hospital, so we weren't separated from the baby. But that was my biggest shock.
Well, this is actually as silly as it may seem, but this is actually a serious question. How do you guys um, divide the affection and the attention you give to your spouse that you give to the baby? Like, how do you guys um, differentiate? Okay, this is how much attention or how much time I'm going to spend being a husband versus being a father. And I think that's easier said than done. That's a very tough question. You can take it, some time to think about it, but I think that's where I'm at right now. Where okay, how do you make that split? And where at what percentage how do you divide yourself? Kind of deal.
Um, I'll take
I'll,
it. I'll
go
take it
ahead, go ahead,
first.
go ahead.
Um, Believe it or not, well, when the baby's not born yet, you basically are there for your wife, right? Then the baby's born, and you're gonna find out that there are two different kind of, let's call it love. They're not the same. The requirement for both of them are not the same. So eventually, in past, you're gonna find out that the requirements of your wife are not at all aligned with your baby. Now, if you ask me like how you divide your time or anything, in my case, especially at the beginning, it's like, what do you need from me? And that's the question that I ask my wife, like, what do you want? I don't care what you want. I'm doing it, and that's the support that I give to my wife. Now, the baby, in my opinion, that's only my opinion, most of the time needs more from the mom. First month, more from the mom because it's lactating. You don't have that. You won't have that. So what I did in my case is like, well, if I help with whatever is needed to mom, that'll uh, transfer in a sense to the baby, and that's like a need. I don't know if I can explain myself in this case, but you transfer that help to the mom will transfer it to the baby in a sense. Now, being a father, like just spend time with your kid, whatever you feel like it. Just go there, kiss him, carry your baby, play with him, do silly faces. Let him or her know that you're there. I'm daddy. I'm here. Look at my face. Make him smile. That first day that he smiles to you, you won't forget it. It's gonna melt down your heart. So again, help mom, help the baby, and then to a different kind of route. Let's call it parallel. You do your stuff with the baby. You do your stuff with your own son or daughter. Do your own. Do your stuff. I'll do mine. I'll do shop. I'll play basketball with my little baby. I don't know. But what I did, my trick was like, I'll support my wife in whatever she needs for the baby or her. And in that way, I'm helping them both. And to the other side, just be silly with my kid. There's little to none that you can. It's not little to none that you can do to your baby to help your baby because you can change the diaper and all that stuff. Like, but the main thing which is feeding, you don't have.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't know
point,
if
man.
that helped you.
That's a good point. Pretty much touching what Ray said. Yeah. And what I would also suggest is, yes, it's very important for the mother to have a lot of time with the baby, but a father is just as important. So there's something called skin to skin. I'm sure you've heard of it, Chuck, where the mom will put the baby on the skin. Typically when they breastfeed or just when they want to have that time, it's very important for the father to do that too, because that's a bonding moment between you and your child. Um, your child's gonna sense you, he's gonna smell you, he's gonna know instantly, okay, this is my dad. This is, I know who my parents are now. Um, and yes, what Ray said, support your wife. I don't know if she's planning on breastfeeding or pumping or whatever, but that's a full time job on its own. Especially at first, child's gonna need to eat every 2 3 hours, so it's gonna be rough on both of you guys. My advice to you would be is try to do as much as you can together as a family, your wife, your child, and you. Spend as much time as you can together. Give your wife some time off as well. She's gonna be very hormonal. It's gonna be something called postpartum, which is something very serious. We could talk about that another day. Um, Make sure you're looking out for her. Make sure she has her time to go outside, to take a deep breath, to kind of get back in the zone of things, and just be the biggest rock and the biggest support you can to her and to your child. But try to do things together as much as you can. So the child, believe it or not, is going to realize that, and it's going to know that, hey, this is my family. I have a real tight family. They both love me, and it's, trust me, man, it's, you'd be surprised how much a little baby knows.
Yeah.
Alex, go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I mean, so how you divide the time between the wife and the baby? Guess that both Chris and Ray make good points about like making sure you support your wife, because it's not really like I think even after birth, you can't even be intimate with your wife what for the first 60 or 90 days.
So yeah,
Um,
like 3 4 months
and
at least.
yeah, so you know that right there, you know, you have to show your wife at least other ways of like intimacy, like maybe bring her flowers. Also, there's something called a gift of like what's it called, like a birth gift, I guess what they call it, like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
push gift.
yeah.
A push gift, that's a good one to buy your wife. It's gonna make her very happy. Just show her that you're still there and you love her, because like Chris said, postpartum, like if your wife does go through, sometimes it's not depression, but sometimes it could be anxiety, and you have to make her feel comfortable. And you also want to spend time with the baby, but once in a while, I guess if everything's fine with the baby, what me and my wife do, we just like sometimes we have like my mom or her mom take care of the baby, and then we have like little date nights here and there. And that's how we just keep like our intimacy and our love, like still alive, because it's hard work, man, with being with the baby. So but you still want to have like making sure that your wife, you don't look at your wife like, oh, she's the mother of my baby. You still see her as like, she's my wife, you know.
Chuck, another thing is like like a resume of the whole thing is like don't allow to your wife to get into the overwhelmed zone. So your job is like you're never gonna be overwhelmed because you know that you can count on me. Whatever you need, I'm here. That's it. Because it's a rough it is rough times for her. She just gave birth. She's gonna be in pain probably. Like it's a lot of emotion going around now, like sensitive and all this stuff. Plus, you have a new baby, and don't let her feel overwhelmed. And it's kind of easy, man. To be honest, it's easy. Just be there. That's it. Be there. Like in my case, I remember that I had to set the clock every 55 minutes because my kid used to wake up every hour, and I wake up every single time. I wasn't doing shit. Like to be honest, I didn't have milk. I don't have nothing, but I was there. In a sense, like I'm not sleeping either. I'm not sleeping either. You're not sleeping. I'm not sleeping either. And I found out a way to make my baby sleep after he fit. I just carry my baby, rock it around, blow a little bit of air on his eyes to make him like get tired,
Yeah, you
and then he
find
go
little
to sleep.
tricks here and there. Yeah.
Little tricks, little tricks. But again, the point is like just be there. Be
Yes,
ready, be
emotional
there.
support is huge. Physical support as well is big. Um, but always remember not to lose that spark that brought you guys together in the first
Hmm.
place. You're gonna listen, man. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, like they say. There's gonna be bad times. There's gonna be dark times. There's gonna be fights. You're gonna be screaming at each other. Oh, you need it. You don't know how to change the diet, bro. It's gonna be bad. But you always have to remember that there's the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? And you guys are gonna get through this. Um, it's a learning curve, bro. You're both new parents. You both don't know what you're doing. One thing that I would give you advice on is from day one. I don't know how Alex and Ray feel about this, but it worked for me. Set a routine for your baby. Bro, it's gonna help in the long run. Trust me. And
Yep.
they start knowing the routines quick. And I'm a firm believer. You set a routine, they're gonna know the routine, and it's gonna be like clockwork. For example, our routine with our baby is right before he goes to bed. After he eats, we kind of let him play a little bit, watch a little bit of TV, kind of let settle himself down, and then he takes a shower every night before bed. So he knows once I'm not a shower, a bath. I'm sorry. So he knows once he takes a bath, it's time to okay. This is like
Time
the
to go to
last
sleep.
thing I got to do before it's bedtime, and he knows, man. As soon as we take him out of that bathtub, he's already like falling asleep. So it's always set a routine, and I like I said, I firmly believe in that, and that's going to be very helpful for you guys in the future. It's going to be helpful for getting the baby to sleep, getting the baby to do certain things, and it's just going to be a lot easier for you guys.
Now, Chuck, another thing that you're gonna be an expert, and I hope is like know your baby. Babies don't communicate like us. They
Yeah,
don't
cry.
speak. They don't have a sign language like people who use them, but they do have a way to communicate. And like I don't know, I can tell if my kid is crying because something hurts or because she's just making a little scene. It's two different cries. So get to know your baby, and the only way that you get that is spending time with your baby
Hmm.
or serving him or her like real close, so you can help the need of your baby, and you can help him or her like know the sign. Like I know that if he's, I always say he because I'm used to because I had a boy first. uh, but know when he's crying in a way that means hungry. But if he's crying in a different way, that means poopy, or it could mean different stuff. And for a person that is not trained, or I mean, in this case with your baby, it might sound like, oh my God, that baby's crying again. But for you, it has to mean something. But they don't have a way to communicate. Or they do, but it's through crying, weird faces, the form of the eyes. There's no science behind. Again, there's no book. There's no book. Your baby doesn't come with instruction. Okay, it does not come with instructions. So through observation, you can get to a point that you can tell what's going on, even maybe before it happens. I can see my baby about to fall, so it doesn't. I don't let her go to there or to that angle or to that place before the fall. So that's it's just tips. Just tips. Look at your kid. He will tell you or she will tell you what's going on. You should be able to tell what's going on. I
Yeah,
don't know if it happens to you, Alex, or Chris.
yeah,
That happens to me.
yeah. It'll
Yeah,
take
that's over
some
time.
time. Yeah, it'll take some time to
Yep.
know what cries or what. Um, and just speaking on personal experience, Chuck, my kid had colic, um, and colic is man, it's bad. It's because it's like a cry, um, about 3 to 4 times a week, maybe every day. sometimes at the same time for about an hour, and it's the same time almost every freaking day. And it's like there's not really much you can do. They sell like these little gas relief drops and stuff like that. That really doesn't work. Um, but when if you guys are going through something like that, you just have to try to comfort your child the best way possible, and whatever it is that gets them to stop crying, that's what you're gonna have to do every single night. You know what I mean? Just comfort your child. Um, but yes, you eventually will start learning what cry means what. And I'm sure you've heard, okay, if a baby starts crying, either they're hungry, they have a dirty diaper, or you know
They're in pain.
they have a fever or something, or they're in pain or something. That's so always go, always break it down. Okay, I just changed the diaper. Baby just ate. Okay, they're crying because something else is wrong. But with time, you will know what cries is what.
I would
Alex,
call it a checkup list.
yeah, Alex,
You check
do you
stuff
do you
up.
recall remembering your child's cries? Took you some time, right?
Oh yeah, it took me time, but yeah, normally the babies cry when they're usually when they're hungry, when they're tired, or when they poop. Usually those are the main
Right.
three cries. Other times, obviously, if they get hurt, that's no, and you're gonna wait till you see your wife when the baby gets hurt for the first time.
Oh
She's gonna
man.
panic. She's gonna be like,
Oh
"What's
man, I
wrong
remember that.
with her? What's wrong with
It's
her?"
dying. It's dying. It's about to die. No,
Dude,
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, no,
I
Bump
got
it
a
into the
story
wall.
on
That's
that one,
it.
bro.
The first time my baby cried, like it was scary. My wife cried too, like
Bro.
when my baby got hurt, because she cried like it was like almost like it was so much pain. It was like cry like bro. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
so
you know
scary,
something's
man. I
wrong.
felt
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sad.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird cry. Go Chris, go tell your story.
Dude, my wife is gonna hate me for saying this, but whatever. I'm gonna say it anyways. It's my
Yes,
freaking.
hit him. Hit him.
It's my podcast, not hers. When he was learning to crawl, he got like on fours, and he was about to take his first crawl or whatever. So to help him, I would put my hands behind his feet so he could kind of like, get the pressure to go forward.
Yeah.
And while he
Support.
was doing that, there was like a little toy guitar that we had on the floor, and he just lost grip and fell. I picked him up, started crying. It's nothing wrong. No, not his head. So he's fine. I'm there, dude. When I look at him, he's dripping blood from his mouth. But like, I was like, holy shit! And my wife was like, "What's wrong?" I go, "Okay, he's
Hold
crying.
on.
He got hurt. There's a little bit of blood." She goes, "What?" A little, dude. It was dripping blood. Long story short, like he like busted like the inside of his lip, like not the lip, the inside of his gums. It was a
Yeah.
pretty. We had to ended up. Well, She ended up calling the rescue. That's another thing, Chuck. You're gonna every time your baby cries or something, you're gonna end up going to the hospital, bro. It's just the way it is. First child.
Hey, let me show you something, guys. You see that little bear over there?
Yeah.
They give you one in emergency room at Kendall Hospital every time that you go. I have 7 of them or 6.
Shit.
I don't know, man. I have a lot of them. I have a lot of them.
I
Man.
no, dude, it's gonna happen because you're scared. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what's wrong. But I remember we called
But
the
look,
ambulance, and my wife, like, I had the
Kendall.
baby. I was holding the baby, right, and I'm covering his mouth, trying to get the blood to stop. And I look at my wife, and she turns whiter than a gallon of milk, and she's about to pass out. And I'm there trying to hold her and the baby, and I was like, "You need to relax, man, because I can't freaking take care of both of you guys." You know what I mean? Like, it was a bad situation. We laugh about it now, but man, it was bad. And like I said, you're gonna end up any little thing that's wrong, you're probably gonna end up rushing to the hospital, and then they're gonna look at you in the emergency room and be like, everything is fine. Those are growing
Yeah.
pains that you're gonna go through, buddy.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's
Chris,
everybody goes through.
Chris, I'm on my third beer here, listening to all these stories, anticipating what's coming. I wanted to lighten up the mood if you would allow me to. I have a rapid fire 5 questions. I want to keep your responses kind of short. These questions are kind of meant to be a little bit humorous,
Go
but
ahead.
it's about new father questions. But keep your responses short because they are 5 questions, and we don't want this to drag on. So, first question for all you guys: how long did it take you guys to pick the name?
Alex, go ahead.
It took us like maybe a week to pick the name. Yeah, I want
Whatever the amount of time that took my
my
wife
thing.
to take
Yeah,
it.
my thing was always making sure that the name was you can pronounce it in Spanish and English.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, same here, but I didn't choose the name. So I was like, whatever amount of time that my wife took to pick the name.
It took us about 2 to 3 months because we had a list of names, and we
Yeah, it
eventually
could
found
be.
one that we
That
liked.
sounds about right for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. What's the best baby gadget out there that nobody knows about that you guys have that you guys swear by?
Ray, go ahead. Go ahead, Ray.
El chupamoco.
El nose
Chuck, you
Frida.
need a chupamoco. ¿Cómo se llama eso en inglés?
Nose
Nose
Frida.
Frida.
That guy, man,
Put
that
that
is
bitch on your
amazing.
registry, bro.
We got it.
It looks like
If
a
not,
joke,
bro,
but it will
if not,
help your
I got you. I'll
baby
hook you over
breathe.
there.
It'll help your baby breathe even
Yes.
when he's or she's sleeping. They don't notice. They just deep sleep. You go helping out. You out. They don't notice.
I'm gonna
What
say
about you?
something. I'm gonna say something that they're not a sponsor of the show or anything like that. But Tactical Baby Gear, you need a cool ass bag. They got badass bags, brother. Check them out.
Really? I didn't know about those.
Yes, check them out.
No, that's the tow around. That's like a backpack, or
They
that's
have
the tow rounder.
backpacks. They have backpacks, and then they have the one that like the traditional baby bag, but they're like badass, bro. Like you gotta check them out. They got good stuff.
What about you, Alex? What's the best baby gadget out there that you want to tell all these fathers about?
No, baby gadget. I mean, honestly, the
The
baby, at
Sophie?
least my baby was mostly with entertaining. Is honestly like phones, tags, zippers. Those are things that like she's big in technology. Like she'll get a remote control, she'll get the phones, she'll want to get like the baby monitor, she'll want to get my headphones. So she's big on technology, but also like we bought a baby tag book because she's big on tags. When I give her like she'll get like my shirt and she'll only be interested like in the tag in the back of the shirt. So we bought her a baby tag book. So I don't know, you gotta kind of have to see how your baby is entertained with. So anything, finding something entertaining that entertains your baby for a while. That's
Got it.
at least for me, that's a big one.
All right, guys. What's your average sleep time on a weekly basis? So if you take, all 5 days, Monday through Friday, what's your average sleep time on a daily
Let me
basis
open
for
the
a
app. I
newborn?
will tell you exactly.
On a weekly basis, I sleep 4 hours on average.
6.5. Now it's 6.5. When the baby was smaller, it was around 5. And
What
that
about
is
you, Alex?
like adding up, not like a straight 5 hours. It's just like add here and there.
Got it.
No, I sleep normal 7 hours a day.
You're sleeping
but
now more than ever.
No, I will tell you something that did help me.
He takes
The
sleeping
first,
pills.
the first, I take I actually take CBD oils, which just helps.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I knew it.
No, it is. It's good. It's not that.
He comes
But
with that.
no, something that did help the first 2 weeks. We had my wife's mother come in and kind of stay over with us for the first 2 weeks, and I slept in the couch, and she helped because the baby can wake up at pretty much any time in the night, and especially if I had to work the next day, I want to make sure like I was sleeping and getting good rest, for me to go into work. So
Got it. What's
Alex has never slept better.
right?
Hold on, Chuck. One tip on that note. The sleeping is hard, but if you get to know your baby, you can plan on putting the alarm before it will wake up. It will wake up because I remember it was like about an hour. He wake up in the first month like every hour. So I put my clock
Wow.
55 minutes. So I wake up, do the milk. He drink the milk before starting to cry, so he can go. It's
That's
smooth.
good advice.
And the routine. If you set a
The
routine,
routine, exactly.
it'll help him sleep too, bro.
Yep.
All right, guys.
sleep training, man.
I got 2 more. What about what's the craziest diaper changing story that you guys have?
Well, I'll give you one. It's not a diaper story, but it's kind of gross. You want me to go there?
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get him ready.
So we went the first time that he went to Cuba. He was a little constipated. He was afraid to poop, and long story short, my wife and I end up picking up the poop with our own hands, like when you get ice cream in those places that they go and it goes down. We got it like
Jesus.
And from there to the toilet.
Shit. Literally shit.
Yeah.
Literally shit. There you go. I wasn't grossed out at all. That's my kid's shit. That's fine.
What about you, Alex?
My advice: don't give your baby any food that has prune.
Oh,
I
man.
swear that baby had an
What
explosion.
the hell were you thinking, man?
I have to give mine prune every day.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
but
you have
like
to give
prune
it,
is like when they're constipated, bro.
No, but there's food that
No,
you
I
have
know.
to give the baby so they
Jesus.
can try new foods and make sure they're not allergic and all that stuff.
I know.
Man,
100%.
we bought a bunch of prune food and all that stuff, and every time we gave our baby prune, it was an explosion. Like you pretty much have to give her a bath right after.
That's
So
why you
that's
need
my
to
only
read the labels.
advice. Yeah.
If you have a boy, he's gonna pee on you, no doubt about it. But we had the pee and shit combo many times.
All right, last one, guys. What's one thing you're glad you don't have to do that your wife has to do? I mean, I know it's breastfeeding more or less, but elaborate on that. What's one thing that you guys don't do that you're happy that your wife has to do in regards to the newborn?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Just keep talking while we think about this.
I'm giving you guys a hard questions tonight.
And this is in
No,
regards
it's
just to what? Just to like baby or just like in general?
Anything, yeah, baby, yeah, or anything in regards to the newborn.
I know.
Directly.
Okay, I got it.
That's
For
a good
you.
question.
My wife used the pump. I'm so glad that I don't have to use the pump on myself. That's
Okay.
sucking on your.
Dude, that thing is that's a full-time job, bro. And then to wash all that shit after, oh my god, bro.
Yeah, but
you have
think
to
about
wash
the
that shit right
actual.
away. You have to wash it right away because you gotta fucking use it in 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
So like, you can't
another
just let it
tip.
sit there.
Another tip. I'm full of tips. If your wife decides to go and pump, you need a freezer so you can freeze the extra milk.
Yeah.
For later.
Every single
Our baby
piece
is
of
still
milk is
drinking milk
precious.
from Maine last year.
Wow.
There you go.
Nice.
I don't see you writing notes, Chuck. I'm a little worried right here.
I got my questions right here,
You
bro.
got the
I got my
recording. You got the
notepad.
recording.
I got my pen. Look at this. I got my notes right
I'll
here,
believe
bro.
you. I'll believe you. Okay.
What about
Man,
you?
I'm trying.
What about you, Alex? What's one thing you're glad you don't have to do that your wife does, other than waking up in the middle of the night and you get to sleep, all 12 hours?
That's
What
honestly. Well, I mean, pretty much almost. No, that's the bigger one. But I think feeding, I would say, it's kind of tough in the beginning. It gets pretty messy. So I would say that's one. Besides, obviously, putting the baby to sleep. But yeah, that would be one. Feeding like with the spoon, not just the bottle. With the spoon.
I'm gonna go a little outside the box. Besides, obviously, like they said, breastfeeding and stuff like that. Our baby does not like medicine. So in order for him to get certain medicines, as far as where he has a fever, like with Tylenol or Motrin, it's suppositories. And I'm glad she does it because putting that in his butt, it's just like, damn, dude, like, how do you do that?
That's me. That's me in my house. I'm that person. So that question to my
God
wife
bless you,
would
bro.
be an awesome question.
I hated those depositories when I was younger. I remember that was not a pretty sight, receiving or giving. That's a lose-lose, I think, from both ends.
And there's times, bro, like hopefully your child takes medicine. He did at first, but then he's like, bro, this shit sucks. Like I guess he knows the taste. But there's times you put the suppository and poops it right out. Like it's shitty.
In
You
and
put the
out.
suppository in the shit. You're like, fuck. Now I gotta put another one in there.
So keep time, Chuck. Keep time. Do you know what you're having? A baby girl or baby boy?
Baby boy.
Baby boy. So personal question: are you gonna circumcise your baby or not?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So forget about the tip, because the tip was like, if you're not, just make sure to do the exercise early on, so you don't have to go through it when he's older.
You're saying with the
exercises like put it back.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it, that's fine. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's actually I mean, it's a little bit more controversial, and people, I think, lead on to be. I mean, I know circumcision is it's a cleaner, it's a more progressive. At least that's the common thought out there.
Depends who do you ask.
Yeah, yeah. So, but not to get too personal or anything, but circumcision in my family is not, straight down the line. So it's not a clear choice, like saying, okay, go ahead and circumcise
Everybody
your
does
kid.
it. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So it's something you give a little thought to. But
Now I'm gonna sit a little doubt on your mind because that's who I am. Ask about the procedure. Let them explain you how it's gonna be done, and then take the decision.
now to my knowledge too, there's different types of circumcisions too. You can either go right at the top, you can chop it up right at the top, or you can go all the way back. It's not a one size fits all type of.
I didn't do it, so
We
I
did.
didn't went through it.
We did a
I have
full
my decision
circumcision.
taken, so that's fine. Anyways,
Yeah, we did the full circumcision, and they did it like 2 days after he was born. So, he screams a little bit, during the process, but the recuperation kind of sucks because you have to put like a gauze with a Vaseline on it, so it doesn't irritate or get dirty and stuff. But they'll explain all that to you in the hospital.
Usually from what I see is the father. I mean, at least the way it was back in the day, the father does whatever was done to him. So if the father wasn't circumcised, he just says, "Fuck it," my kid's not circumcised.
Yeah.
Or if my kid's circized,
that is changing these days because I don't know. They consider again progressive people and all the stuff like mutilation kind of.
My
They
advice
say it's
is
easier.
do what's best.
supposed
What you think is going to be best for your kid. Because remember,
Yeah.
you are the father now, and obviously your wife is the mother. But between both of you guys need to make the decision of what's going to be best for your kid. What way you want to raise him. What way. Anything you do, remember, it's everything you do is a life-changing event for your child. You know what I mean? So you are the building stone of whatever your child is going to be or you want to be.
It truly is. When you get that social security card, that's their social security number for the rest of their life.
For the rest of your life, yes.
Just try not to apply for a credit card right away. Give it at least a couple of years.
Right.
Try to get a lease on a Mercedes or something.
But it's crazy how you brought this little human to life or whatever, and you're making all these decisions for that little human being. Right off the bat, that's going to affect them. 20, 30 years down the line. How much thought do you guys give to that? I know we mentioned names, circumcision or not, if it's a boy. How much thought do you think, like whenever you make a decision, how much thought do you say, okay, how is this going to come back 20, 30 years from now? Instead of being, right in the moment, how much thought do you give, okay, 20, 30 years from now, this is the right decision to make right now because this is going to be good 20, 30 years from
now. I'll take it. I'll take it first. Yeah, let me take this one first. I would recommend any decision you make, obviously consult with your wife. And whatever you decide, do your research on it. Especially if you're not sure. For example, there's like a new trend now, and they almost got my wife to believe in it. I was not a believer in it. It's a lip and tongue tie. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I've heard of it, but can you elaborate for our listeners?
What? Say that again. I never heard about that.
Lip and tongue tie. Basically, if you guys want to Google it, just so you can see an image what it is. Basically, it's like the little skin under the lip and the tongue. They say that it's if it's too long, then the baby can't latch on the nipple and breastfeed and all that stuff. Let me tell you something, bro. This is the biggest fucking scam there is. Okay, because it's every breast consultant has a person that does a lip and tongue tie. Okay, it's like a commission kind of thing. Hey, go to my guy. He's gonna charge you $1,200, and then they're gonna get a kickback, all that shit.
But they snip it, or what do they do to it?
Supposedly, it's like a laser procedure that they snip a little piece of it, and it's because what they say is like they're not able to expand their lips and like the sucking motion. Every baby's gonna struggle sucking a nipple, either on the mom or the actual bottle.
Chris,
because
I still struggle at my mere age of 34.
I think we all do. But if you guys get a milk breast consultant, breast feeding consultant, which I think you should, if especially if she's gonna do it, they're gonna try to push you towards that lip and tongue tie. That is a fucking scam. Don't do it
Guys, I
because
have
your
never
child's gonna
heard
learn how
about
to.
that in my whole life.
That's because that's a new thing that they're doing now. Back in the day, bro. Back in the day, if your kid acted up, le mete un galletazo and that's it. Boom, problem solved. Now it's like, oh no, your kid has this and that, and you need to do a procedure. No, bro, like it doesn't work that way. Things have changed so much. That's to me, that's my biggest thing. That
Alex,
live and tuck tie.
what do you think about the new generation? I mean, I don't know if we're new or not anymore. We're kind of in the middle right now.
I mean, to plan for 30 years, I mean, I think as soon as the baby's born and has the Social Security, you should start thinking of college. That's the first thing.
But
Like,
People,
I
yep.
think that's the real one. Yeah, like get look into, I think, sort of prepaid or maybe the other alternatives for college. So definitely do that at least for the kid. That's something
That's
that's
the
gonna
insurance
impact them.
guy.
that's a big one, and I know you have a friend too that is against opposed to vaccinations and all that. That's also a big one too.
Yeah.
That's huge.
The vaccine comments nowadays are coming into play, and
Um, yeah, that's actually a very controversial thing. There's a lot of people that are starting not to do vaccines because they're saying that they cause like some sort of like autism, and then there's so many types of vaccines coming out. And I think I asked you the other day, I'm like, what if after this whole corona thing passes, they come up with a corona vaccine? Would that be something that you would give to your baby? So
yeah.
like it's some of those things are, you just, I think you have to just talk about it with your OBGYN and talk about it with your wife and then decide. I personally decided to just give just state required vaccines. I didn't want to provide any additional vaccines that were not within the state requirements, but they try to like get you to do like other vaccines on top of
And
that, but you read on it.
it's amazing, going through this process when I go to the OB/GYN or whatnot. The vaccines, once they're a newborn, they give them the vaccines, but there's also vaccines right now or shots that my wife can take that are passively passed on to, my son, my future son. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, wow, anything that, it goes to show you that anything that she puts in her body right now, whether it's food or vaccines or medication, whatever, what it may be, it's affecting that,
Transmitted, yeah.
yeah, it's affecting that human inside of her. So
They're strong, man. Those vaccines are strong. I mean, and you always got to make sure your OBGYN is not like money incentivized by it. She's just giving you her honest opinion or his honest opinion. Um, but yeah, man, do your research. That's all I can say. And at least that part of the research landed on me. I literally read like a bunch of stuff on all the different types of vaccines. So ultimately, we decided just to just skip the state requirements.
yeah,
I could speak on experience on that. My son was in the hospital for a week of Thanksgiving. We spent Thanksgiving in the hospital. He had the flu, he had a rhinovirus, adenovirus, and he had a form of coronavirus as well. He had all of that at once. And at the time, we decided not to do the flu shot. I was like, oh, he doesn't need a flu shot. He's too young. Guess what? When he got out of the hospital, he got a flu shot because I don't want him. I don't want him to be in the hospital again. This is a subject that's very controversial. We go back and forth. This is, to me, if you don't believe in vaccines, I don't know what to tell you.
it's just there's such a long history with vaccines that it's kind of tough to contradict that. As these
Autism's
new
been around for a
theories.
long time. I don't think vaccine is the cause for it. It's just that now there's more studies. There's more of a broader a spectrum of autism. And now anytime a kid has something, there can be diagnosed with a form of autism. So I don't think it comes from vaccines, my personal opinion. But like I said,
You
it's a
know,
topic for another day.
and one thing, Chris, you get pretty private on this podcast. One thing, I'll get a little bit private here too. science is out of control. Sometimes science leads you to believe that things are not so right because trying to be scientifically correct. Not too long ago we did the NT scan, I guess the neck scan or whatnot, and if it
Yes.
comes too thick, then they think you're on a certain spectrum,
Yes.
and you got to do more tests or whatnot. And it's just science is so advanced these days that they swear they can predict the future 100%.
That scare the shit out of
And
you.
yeah, and it kind of takes the joy out of things in a little way. I mean, I'm glad that they look into things to make sure everything is okay or whatnot. But I think science, you got to take it with a grain of salt in a way, and take it for what it is. So, but
They're
definitely
trying to
wanted to
prepare
bring
you
that
for
up.
a worst case scenario. I mean, obviously they want to make sure everything is okay. But yeah, I remember that test you talking about, that one detects if there's
Down
certain Down
syndrome.
syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's scary because you go in there, you're excited, but then you're like, fuck, like what if this comes back? And then you just got to start thinking about that.
It, it,
It's stressful.
it actually sucks because and I just went through this process maybe a month ago. It's the first time you see your kid. It's the first time you see that embryo, and you go in there with the mindset of, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. This is the most extraordinary time
Yeah.
moment right now. And they kind of for lack of a better word, they kind of kill it because they say, oh,
We have to do
you're
this
on
because
the
this. Yeah.
yeah, you're on this threshold, or the markers are showing this, so let's do further testing. So you both walk out of there. I remember sitting next to my wife and not even having a conversation because it was like, okay, now what? What are
Yeah.
we gonna do now,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's good. It sucks, but
Ultimately, it's to make sure that everything's okay, but it does add an added stress. And now, the mother doesn't need the stress because that stress is passed. Like you're talking about all this, that's passed to the baby. When the mother cries, when the mother stress, when the mothers argue or whatever, the baby feels that, man. Believe it or not, that all that is transmitted, and it sucks. Like I said, it's such a happy time, and then to be told something, it's like devastating. It's rough. Because we went through it kind of, like I said, we had a couple miscarriages early on, and we went through horrible times, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, especially in a time they're supposed to be happy,
yeah.
But
Chuck, to your initial
yeah,
question, um, act on your principles. Like there is thousands of years of principles. Every time that you make a decision, thinking about how that will be affect my kid on the future. Future is uncertain. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like we didn't have computers, we didn't have internet, and we do have it now. So in that sense, there's no way that you can anticipate what's gonna happen. My advice on that is like just act on your principles, the one that were taught to you through your parents, your grandparents, or whatnot. Like every single person that came across to your life and taught you something important and useful.
Yeah.
Because, like Alex mentioned, like yeah, college. And what about if your kid doesn't want to go to college? You spend all that money and energy for no reason. Like it's not like leave your kid to do whatever they want. It's just like help them to get there. It might be college, but you be in the right track. You're probably gonna be in the right track. But what about if he's gonna be a musician? What about he doesn't want to go to college? He want to finish that 12 grade and then just and go on an entrepreneur, like create a company, be a real estate. I don't need
yeah,
college for that. So it's not that you're spending that money because probably gonna recover that money in a sense, but you're gonna put that again. The whole point is like don't live your life the one that you didn't have to your kid's life.
Yeah, you have to there. What I've noticed is that there has to be a balance. You can't
Yeah,
live your life through your kids' eyes.
yeah,
You have to
no.
let them find their own, and love
yeah.
them for who they are.
You
And
let them
then
And
find
you
let them
help
find
them
their
there.
life, and you just guide them to what they
yeah,
want to do. You know what I mean?
Just guide
yeah.
them to be a good person, a good
I
human
would
being.
I would love for my son to play basketball, but maybe he doesn't like basketball. Maybe he likes, I don't know, baseball, volleyball, some other crap, and
Yeah,
if
maybe
that's what
he
he
plays like Fernando. You don't want him to play basketball like that. Who
yeah,
knows?
maybe he wants to do that, and that's what it is. And another topic I think maybe to wrap this up, we should talk about is the current state of our world and raising kids in the current state that we're living in. Not just coronavirus, but just everything going on, the economy, the world as it is right now. Um,
Uh,
how do we feel about bringing kids into this life, and what are our biggest challenges to make sure that they have everything they need going forward?
I'm not worried about that at all. To be honest with you, yes, there's a bunch of stuff going on, but we happen to live in United States of America, which is, in my opinion, the best country that you can be living in right now. And not only that, we live in the best time ever. Excuse me, of humanity history. Like people used to die from flus, just common cold, and a bunch of other stuff, eaten by a tiger, a lion, a bear. We don't have that kind of issues right now, man. Like, yes, there's rough times going in a lot of places. But to your question, how do you feel about bringing a kid to this world? You're gonna bring it to this world, but you're not gonna bring it to the middle of Africa and the Sahara. You're gonna bring it to United States of America, and this is the best ever that humanity has lived compared to any year that you want to mention before, like diseases, technology, access to food, access to medicine, access to transportation, access to work, access to money, free time. I don't know, hygiene, like soap, shampoo. I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever you
it's
want to mention.
it's the best modern civilization that
It's the
you can
best,
have.
and we happen to live in the best country. Is it perfect? Perfect? Of course it's not. Of course it's not. There is room for improvement, a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
But think about like a hundred. You don't have to go 1,000 years ago. Think about 100 years ago only, just 100 years ago, or 200 years ago. We didn't have cars. We didn't have AC. We didn't have vaccines. We have some. We did have some. We didn't have the amount of technology and access to information and education and food, especially food. Throughout history and life, the main issue for most people was diseases and food. If you cannot provide to your family with food, they will starve. And if they get sick, they will die. Simple. The ones that didn't die were resistant to the disease. Not because you have a vaccine, they just happen to be resistant to the disease. So again, to your question, yes, it's hard. It's everything that you want to call it, but it's the best time that you can bring the kid. For us, again, I do understand that it's a lot of bad places out there, but for us, it's not like that.
Yeah, and going back to the original point that we made in the beginning, it's our job as a father to find the way to provide and to raise our childs, right? Um, the best thing we can do is shield them from all the bad and just teach them the good and show them the good as much as we can to our ability. Eventually, everything with this coronavirus thing is going to work itself out, but it's our job, it's your job as a father to um, hide all those or not allow those bad things to enter your child's life or not allow him to see those things or experience those things. You know what I mean? You got to be the shield of that, of him, and eventually, you know, teach him or show him good from bad and what's right from wrong. You know what I mean? So um, everything's gonna work itself out in the long run. It's just our job as parents to do our best and show our childs what we want and what we education starts at home. You know what I mean? Education starts at home and that's going to carry itself through school, through life and everything. So it's our job to set the boundary from the beginning. You know what I mean? And I know you're going to be a great father. I see how you are with your niece and your nephew and Sam as well. So no doubt about that. You guys are going to be great parents. It's just the challenge you're going to face at first, but ultimately you guys are going to figure it out. Everybody does, you know.
Yes,
Alex, you got
I
anything to
mean,
know?
yeah, no, I just want to just throw some last couple of things. You guys definitely covered most of it. Um, like Chris said, education starts at home. Just make sure that you teach your child like certain things that can make the world better. Like how to be polite and things like that. And also maybe teach them how to recycle. Little things that you can teach to make them a better person. Um, and what else? Also, make sure like as since we do live in one of the best times, but it's also times that things can change very quickly. So just try to always have a nice financial foundation by paying down your debts. If you own a mortgage, try to pay off your mortgage or pay off your car loans. Try to have as least liabilities. That's something that I learned a long time ago. In order to live a good life, is have less liabilities and more assets. So like reduce your liabilities as much as possible. Those my a couple of points there.
Chris, let's wrap this up with some closing remarks on this.
Yeah, ultimately, always remember that all kids are different. You know, don't compare. My advice: don't compare your child to somebody else because it's gonna be, um, it's not fair. You know, Eh, eh, and at the end of the day, one day it's gonna be great, the next day is gonna be bad. You know, one day it's gonna be a great day, and the next day it'll be like it's not the same kid. You know, uh, it's a challenge you're gonna face, and it's but at the end of the day, it's ultimately a blessing, and it's everything's gonna be fine. You know, you guys are gonna be fine financially. Everything's gonna be fine. You make it work, and child's gonna be fine, healthy. Everything's gonna be good, man. Anything we can
I
do to help or whatever, we're here for you. You know,
I
that's
do.
what we do.
Before we wrap this sucker up, I do want to say that you guys assume the responsibility of being a father very well, and it's not a responsibility that is to take lightly. You guys are passionate about it, which is very important. You give the importance to it that it deserves, and it's very admirable that you guys, really, take pride in being a father, and that's a lot to be said. And I appreciate your words of wisdom tonight, and hopefully, I definitely learned something. Hopefully, our listeners learned something tonight, and I appreciate you guys uh, putting in the work tonight.
Anytime, my brother. That's what we're here for. And this podcast could probably also we could probably do like a second parter, have the wife's point of view and perspectives. That'll probably be funny. Compare all the crap that we said with the stuff that they're gonna say, and just kind of
They're
laugh
gonna be
about that.
like, these guys are liars. They didn't do shit.
You
Not
you
gonna look
guys,
good on you,
how
huh?
many diapers did you guys change? Nah, fuck out of here. But no, it was always fun to be with you guys. We'll probably do like I said, a second part of this. Maybe have our wives ask them questions or whatever. Have them come on here and make us look bad or something. But probably have another podcast as well. Talk about education, the education system, um, and the current state that we're in. And just probably have our wives as well. You know, give their point of view. My wife's a teacher. She can talk about education and school and all that stuff. Chuck, I know you're kind of involved with the school system as well, so you have a pretty good perspective on that. And Ray as well, I know you're involved with school as well, so I think that'll be an interesting topic for the next one. But
Definitely,
we'll see when we get that started.
and we definitely miss Chino on this one. Chino always provides the insight that some of that special
Chino will
research
be the
that
outsider.
Yeah,
that we can't
he
do.
would have probably been quiet a lot today, but we definitely do miss him. Chino, anytime we have Chino on is always a good thing. But he'll definitely be on for the next one. So no, we didn't get rid of him. We didn't send him back to China. He's still here. He just decided to sit this one out respectfully. So, but we'll get him back soon, guys. Again, man, thanks a lot for joining us, and appreciate you guys, brothers. And
Yep,
like I said,
no
anything
problem.
you need, Chuck, we're here for you, man.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Hey, everybody have a good night. Stay safe, and we're all in this together, and let's get through it.
Yes, sir.
We'll be real
Have a good
favor.
night, guys.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good
Bye.
night.